Derrick Walker is a storyteller with a voice that captures Southern life, art, and culture in a way that's uniquely his. From growing up in the church to leading the marching band, becoming the first homecoming king at Arkansas Pine Bluff, and discovering his passion for theater, Derrick's journey is a masterclass in creativity. He learned the business of entertainment as a night promoter, brought stories to life in Hollywood, working on shows like Power, and collaborated with legends like Adam Blackstone and Brandy. Now, back in Dallas, Derrick is on a mission to bring a Grammy home, using his spoken word to redefine how the world sees the South. This is where it all began. Every great story has a beginning, a moment, a place, a spark where dreams are born. It's the grind, the passion, the perseverance that shapes legends. From humble roots to extraordinary heights, these are the untold stories of those who dared to chase greatness. This is where it all began.
What's going on? I'm Derrick Walker from Dallas, Texas. I am a graphic designer, visual artist, spoken word artist, writer, author, marketer, filmmaker, documentarian, producer. I am a son, I'm a brother, I'm an uncle. I make things cool, I make things better. I'm a wordsmith too, man. You know, I make words make sense, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about dollars. I love the opportunity to share and express. I love to be in front of people. I love to perform. I study communication, broadcast journalism, theater, and just being in all these spaces, getting a chance to do what I do and be who I be. So this is the first location. This is Carter High School. My first entrance was actually through the band hall because Miss Arrington from my church, she wanted me to be in the band. At first I was like, I don't want to be in the band. I used to play football back in the day, and I did a lot of things with that with Cedar Crest Comets. But being able to come here and be a part of the band and meet the band directors really opened my eyes to other possibilities outside of what I knew. I started playing drums at church, and she saw me and was like, you need to do this. And that's where it all kind of started, meeting the band directors, getting involved in that, and just having a group of people. Instead of having to focus on the whole school or just my class, I had a group of people in all the classes, so I was able to connect personalities and just connect opportunities. So Carter High School, Wheatland, it's Oak Cliff. This is the most southern part of Oak Cliff, and man, I just so many memories come back up of just being in band rehearsals, coming up at 7 a.m. and having to practice before school, before everybody else got started. Really the first place I learned leadership. Outside of playing football, I was able to learn who I was, but having to do it in a public space was also something very different and something unique. And so having those experiences taught me understanding what leadership was, what responsibility was, and something I carry on to this day. Man, so this is Carter High School, the world famous Friday Night Lights. It has a history that goes as far back to the 80s.
Dallas Carter, 1988.
The team.
Carter won the state championship, and there's a lot of history that has been negative about it from one perspective, but even in the negative, there is still a connection and an attachment to who has come through these hallways. From myself to all the people I know, I've got cousins, I got friends, I got kinfolks, I got all kind of people who like walk these same halls. In fact, some of the teachers are still here who I was growing up with. So the history of Carter, being in this part of town, is always a rivalry. I went through the feeder pattern. I went to Dale Turner, then I went to Atwell, is what it was called at the time. And then coming to Carter, it was able to kind of be a neighborhood situation where I grew up with people. I went to school with people who I grew up with. They were in my neighborhood. So it was a different kind of kinship, different type of relationship. And even as I think back, man, just when I played football with the Cedar Crest Comets, winning was always a thing. I remember back in 1992, 93, we won the national championship back-to-back, one of the few teams to do that. And so for me, early on, winning awards was a norm. I was introduced to that just because of who I am. So having an opportunity to be recognized by the people and become a leader and have experiences, this is what Carter taught me. It introduced me to the world. I was able to travel to Paris and Madrid, Spain, because I was in AP classes. I was able to, once again, be drum major. I was able to meet like really lifelong friends. And man, it's so many memories of the fights. It's memories of sitting on the back of the bus in the band hall, sitting on the back of the bus freestyling, doing beats in the lunchroom, ducking class. I didn't really duck class, but I always knew I could get a way out. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have open campus. I was driving as a sophomore, and it was just cool. So there was no trail here. This wasn't concrete. This was just a trail that we had And I hadn't even been in the band hall since it's been updated. We used to go to this store. I majored here back in 2001.
It's a basketball elementary tournament, and then we got a drumline event over there.
Y'all practice? Is that the drum line I heard in the back?
Nah, that's they from New Orleans.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, this is the band hall.
This is man, we were practicing the student parking lot all the way like 7 o'clock in the morning. I was getting here, and I had to get here earlier because I was a drum major. I had to set some things up. But we would park over there and march back over here in the marching band, going through these walls, these hallways, these doors. It was I didn't realize how much of a commitment and discipline was required from that at the time, because it was just something like I enjoyed doing. But it also afforded me the opportunity to go to college at no cost. It afforded me the opportunity to meet all my friends and learn to do, like really practice what I learned to do all here. And this is where it all began. We are now at St. Paul United Methodist Church, another place of influence for my life and instruction and inspiration. Being in Oak Cliff, particularly the Redbird part of Oak Cliff, we didn't go past downtown for a lot, and not because we like couldn't or there was something against it, but everything within our neighborhood was convenient for us. So coming downtown was an experience. I can recall being at Adele Turner Elementary and coming down to the Majestic Theater to see the Nutcracker, and going in the theater and seeing all these velvet seats and the curtains and these performers and the sound and the lights. Well, for me, I'd already experienced that going to church every Sunday. And so coming to St. Paul United Methodist Church was significant at that time, because it was the place where we could meet up with the other youth. We could see our friends that we hadn't seen in a long time. For the people who live in different parts of town, we would all congregate downtown. Of course, coming downtown was cool because we could see the building. My sister and I used to play this game called "That's My Building, That's My Building," bingo. And so it got to a point I was literally living downtown, across the street from the building that I would say was my building. And so downtown has always been significant for me. This church in particular, the builder of this church, the architect, was William Sidney Pittman. I mentioned him in my poem, "The Deeper the Root, the Sweeter the Fruit." And this is just another opportunity I had to perform, to see and be social, and also do business here. I've spoken at this church. I have, oh man, there's so many memories here. And this is one of the first black churches right across from the first black school in Booker T. Washington Art School, where there's this culmination of spirituality and art that I definitely embody. And being able to understand the foundation of spirituality and the connection of community in a space like this, it always felt safe. And as a creative, as an artist, just as a person, when you can identify spaces to be creative and you can share your creativity, that's beauty. And that's what I've been able to do, starting in churches, going to football fields, in the marching band, going to Arkansas Pine Bluff, and being able to now perform at the Fountain Blue and the Sunrose in LA. And it's all me doing the same thing, just a different version in a different space. This is a story, and for history to be preserved in this type of way, in this type of place, downtown Dallas, this is prime real estate for many, but also to see that the city and the people have made sure that this is a safe space. It reminds me of even America's first Black Chamber of Commerce. I served on the board there, Black Chamber of Commerce here, and it just reminds me of the history and the stories of the meetings and the conversations that happened. My mom went to Bishop, now Paul Quinn, so the history that she's had here, this just gives me a chance to like really be inspired again for what's going on. I'm now even on the board of the Millennial Board with the Black Academy of Arts and Letters, and all of the opportunities I get to be a part of as a person from here, working with people and knowing people who I've seen back in the 80s with Curtis King, or Reverend Charles Stovall. I mean, if I'm honest, Sean Rabb from Channel 4, Willis Johnson on KKDA. That's the reason I study journalism. That's the reason I appreciate stories. That's the reason I appreciate history, is all these people I saw who inspired me, and they instructed me to do and be in this place for a great celebration. This is where it all began. Lit Lounge is where I first performed one of my favorite tracks, The Deeper the Root, The Sweeter the Fruit, or AKA I Need a Finger Snap on the 2 and the 4 for the 214, that's Dallas. And it's really the ode to Dallas, the ode to the city and all the people I've been associated with, connected with, who have been inspiring to me and who I've been inspiring with. It's a representation of that, and I'm just excited to be able to do this. When you're watching TV, it ain't got no temperature. Just know it's cold out here. So this is where it all began, and you're part of the story of where part of the beginning happened. And a significant part of that is because I was promoting nightclubs, and I was literally passing out flyers.
Passing out flyers outside of Hibachi.
Hibachi, yeah. Like, what? I don't even know what to ask you. I don't know. What do you remember about that?
You know, we had left. It was a Dwale concert at Hibachi. Good times. And young black brother passing out flyers. You know, the first thing, I don't want this. But you were just like, it was like your spirit, your energy. I said, it's something about him. We exchanged information. You told me you were trying to get something up and going at the Shark Bar.
Right.
I said, you know what? I want to support this man. I said, I like his energy. Pulled up, you showed us nothing but love. You said, you know what? Here's a section, anything you need. You were very accommodating. It was your energy. It was your spirit. I felt it, and we've been locked in ever since.
That's
You
great.
Always been a hustler. Always a go-getter.
No, you're right. I forgot about Shark Bar. Like that was
Yeah.
that was kind of the move from party promoting at one spot regularly, and then going to like, it wasn't ownership, but the partner I had doing the parties with, he owned it. So I got to kind of see a different business. I did a lot of menu development, designed the logo and all that kind of stuff, and it was a chance for me to really use all of my skills and put on a good show. But
And you did great.
nah, you've been rocking with it. Like, and there's one thing about support, like it starts as support, but like it's really like, it's like my kind. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't necessarily think alike, but like the way we think, it works. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? So that's why I invited you to like let me put where it all began. That's that. So I'm gonna tell you about what happened over here. So come over here.
Okay, cool.
Now you know the IAmDWalk.
I do know the LAD.
Right. So tell me about the IAmDWalk.
An adventure.
An
adventure. It was definitely an adventure. To sum it up, if I had to sum it up, I would say it was an adventure. It was cool vibes. Cold.
Cold.
It was cold.
It was cold. We went to Universal Studios.
We went to Universal Studios. Then we went to hanging out with the Wild 'N Out cast. I don't even know. Running.
That was, yeah.
We ended up with the Wild 'N Out cast eating Philly cheesesteak rolls.
From I forgot the name of the place in Hollywood. It was up the street from where I live.
know.
But like, so this place is like, so coming after being in LA, like producing music for TV and film and Power and all that stuff, and just working with like Adam and Brandy in the studios. Coming back to Dallas was the last thing I really, really wanted to do. Like, I saw you more in LA than I saw you in Dallas.
Absolutely.
And then coming here was the first time I performed as an artist and stepping into the art of D-Walk. I guess I ain't never said that, but like stepping into the art of D-Walk and representing not just who I am, but just like you are Mississippi. Like you may look or not, but like who you are, you can never change. And so having the chance to perform one of my songs or one of my poems here for the first time was like, it's a mark. 'Cause it takes me back. I used to promote parties and promote open mics at the Fiji's before they tore it down, and now I'm performing. And not only just performing, like I had a chance to do it with a schoolmate, Daniel Jones, and he passed, but I was able to like really be invited to a stage by one of my peers in the industry, been recognized by the Grammys, all kind of stuff. And I did my first poem as I Need a Finger Snap on the 2 and the 4, for the 214, and like doing that here for the first time and watching it go from being a performance to being on an album to being recognized by the Grammys to performing in Vegas and LA. Like, that is a great, not just story, but I think you're right about the hustler thing.
Always been a go-getter. But what is your inspiration? What drives you?
That's all I know. You know what I'm saying? Like being from Dallas is a very particular space. And being from here, you have to be able to not just survive, but like move in different sections, different pockets, different rooms. And that skill I picked up early because when I went to Carter High School, it was one thing, but when I grew up, I played football in Cedar Crest, which is, you know, some would say one of the most, you know, underdeveloped places in Dallas. And so it was different crews, different audiences, and I had to be able to maneuver just to stay safe. You know what I'm saying? I got friends who locked up right now. I got friends who made choices that like really impacted their life in a negative way. But I always knew like I have to do something better because I know what I'm chosen to do. You know what I'm saying? I decided to choose myself. So I didn't have an option. I literally did not have another option. Besides, I'm not going to jail. I'm not getting caught up with the law and the system, and I'm gonna do what I gotta do.
One thing I would say about you is you always been able to adapt. All circumstances. I mean, we were in Mexico in the middle of a hurricane.
We were,
but you've always been able to adapt in any environment, wherever we've been. I mean, that's just been you. So, and that really takes you places versus, you know, anything else. You've been able to adapt.
Yeah. No, and and so adapting at this point in life is really understanding how all of the adaptations make sense now, because there's not a situation I haven't seen before. So like making these moves with the poetry, spoken word. I mean, even like I got a record distribution deal. You know, like I'm representing the city in a dynamic way. The whole 214, everything about the Dallas history. Everybody wants to be in the place where it all began for me, and that's Dallas, Texas.
Absolutely.
We are downtown Dallas, in the center of the city, right down the street on Harwood, which is really a street that led into the black part of town going into South Dallas, aka East Dallas. But Dallas, being downtown Dallas is really important because this is where I did business. When you hear the idea of a hustler, you hear the idea of somebody who's able to adapt and make moves and make business happen and build relationships. The core of everything I've done and where it's going has been based on who I've been able to connect with and who I know. And so this was a place where I could perform, I could play, and I could do business and make money. The 3 locations we went to, David W. Carter High School, that's where I learned to be social and learn most about myself and travel the world. The second spot was St. Paul United Methodist Church. We didn't go downtown a lot, but when we did, it was for church, and it was a historic building, and I included part of the architect of that building into my poem, as well as the third stop, Lit Lounge, downtown Dallas, is where I learned to play, I had a chance to perform, and just make the next version of who I am be even better than what's been before. Someone who's experiencing me, seeing me, hearing me, my hope for them is that they remain inspired and use the inspiration as instruction to be guided to somewhere better for themselves and everybody around them. That's the only requirement I have. Everything else, it'll work itself out. Allow time to be honest with yourself, and continue to be inspired before leaving Earth, and just make sure you make a mark for impact where you are. This is where it all began.
South Dallas is full of culture. I definitely get mine from here.
Carter High School, Wheatland. It's Oak Cliff. It's the most southern part of Oak Cliff.